As the sun rises on day 4, we are slap bang in the middle of winter, and we actually have a little bit of snow. It's not much, it's only a thin single layer of snow, but we actually have some snow on our farm at last. So, kind of looking forward to playing around with that. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Seasons in the Valley. As I say, we're on day 4. And you may notice that our finances are €238, and that's it. Now, I haven't spent the money, don't worry. I haven't gone on one of my infamous spending sprees. Instead, what I did was I put the money in the bank overnight to help reduce our loan payments a little bit more. So, you can see we currently have a loan debt of around $160,000. I have spent just a little bit of this money, and I'll show you what I bought. Basically, what I did was, there is normally a toolbox just there anyway in this sort of area, but what I did was I picked that up, I went into there and I threw it into the pile of all the other kind of junk and toolboxes and stuff that are in there. You can see there's a couple of already in there, look. I just threw that one in there, and then this is actually a working toolbox. Until we get the update to the map, you know, we are still being charged €1,000 every time, so just until that is done, we're going to be using a working toolbox. And then once the update comes through and this becomes free, we'll get rid of the toolbox. The other thing I purchased is around the corner, and I had to kind of think where I wanted to put it, simply because although there are no collisions, visually there is a bit of a height issue. And the other thing I purchased is a snowblower. I bought the Buyabout's snowblower, and I've painted it in the same sort of colour scheme as our T7. So our T7 is going to be our snow tractor. And this top arm here doesn't have collision, so it can pass through trees and telephone poles and low-hanging ceilings, but it just does look visually a bit weird. Plus, because it's quite a tall item, if I tried to stick it where I had initially thought about sticking it, which was in this bay here, the top part of that snorkel would actually be sticking through these floorboards, which does look a little bit silly. So it's gone over there in that empty bay where our other trailer used to live. So what is the plan for today? Well, I don't know, really, to be honest. I think we're going to probably do a little bit of snow clearing. We're going to try out that snowblower, get it on the roads, and we're also going to go and deal with those silage bales. Let's get that done first, actually. Let's go sell those silage bales that are at the BGA waiting. Or if I actually know the roads might need clearing, so we'll do that once we've gone out and cleared the roads a little bit with the snowblower. Now, again, as I say, it's just a single layer of snow. It is going to melt as the day progresses. So at some point later today, we will actually see an end to the snow. It'll disappear. It might happen towards the end of the day, but I'm sure at some point it will disappear. And I think the rain will help speed that process up as well. So if we want to have some fun with the snowblower, we kind of need to do it today, really, now, while we have the opportunity, because I don't know when that rain is due. So I've played about with the snowblower before in the past on a kind of like a test farm, and I've also had a little play about with the plough as well, and I find this is the easier of the two implements to use. And I also feel I need to make a little amendment to the problems that I was having with the animal trailer as well. Now, there are several points on the road network where the tiles meet and they don't quite smoothly line up. So there's a little tiny little step. You might actually be able to see one just coming up around here. You can see it sometimes from some angles, other times you can't. But sometimes you get these little steps and things tend to catch. Now this will catch on those because, as you can see, to operate it we literally drop it onto the surface of the road, so you're going to expect it to catch with this. However, the animal trailer shouldn't have been catching. So it's been said that the drop bar was perhaps looking a little low. It shouldn't be catching, on the steps that there are on this road. So yes, there is still something a little wrong with the sort of height detection on the trailer, but it's not necessarily means that it's a terrible mod. I mean, I do like the mod. I really do like its look. I like its actions. I like its customization options. But this map in particular, with the way that the road tiles have been put together, does seem to really exacerbate that issue. And so we won't use it on this map, but we may well try it out again and give it another go on one of our other farms. So with that out of the way, let's get this turned on. So to get started, we need to pipe it out. We need to turn it on. And then, aha, look at that. See what I mean? We have those little steps that things catch on. There's one right there, look. The animal trailer, was catching on things like that. And that was what was causing the problem. It does make it quite awkward when you're trying to use this thing. Now, I have had kind of mixed results. This seems to work really, really well and give you the snow blowing out of the pipe when you have deep snow. But when you don't, it's kind of temperamental. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I actually had a test on this the other night, and it didn't blow snow out the pipe at all. So, a little unsure why it does sometimes and why it doesn't on others. It's a little peculiar. But again, you can see we're going to keep bumping like that on these little steps. This gives you a nice, good kind of visual representation of exactly where the snow is being sort of blown, and we can change the angle, and we can obviously bend this all the way around. Again, see we're bouncing on those little steps. There is quite a vicious one somewhere on this hill coming up. That might have been it, actually. Let's see if we can clear the snow away and find it. You can actually see the step quite nastily. There it is, look. So this is the kind of step that I was talking about, where you see where the road tiles don't quite join up properly. There's little steps like that. You can see there is just a fractional height difference. It's things like that that cause things like the snowblower, which drags along the ground, to have issues, but it shouldn't cause the animal trailer to have issues, and the fact that it is a little disconcerting. I'm not entirely sure why it was doing that. Now this will work really well at speed when the snow is just a single layer. As you can see, we're bombing along at 19 miles an hour, and we're going very wonky because we can't see where the road is. But when you get deeper layers of snow, it does start to struggle, and you do have to go a little bit slower. You can see there, because we built up the snow a little bit, we had to kind of, slow down to make sure that all of that would have been cleared. But I do like this thing. It is a lot of fun to use. Again, it's probably not the best map for it, because it's going to constantly catch on the road, so you're constantly going to get those little bounces and jolts where those road tiles overlap. But on maps where the road is smoother, this thing's going to operate so much more efficiently. And it's a really multi-purpose tool as well. I've seen a lot of people using this on fields to pick up their straw windrows. I've seen people use it as silage blowers, so they can load silage into a trailer behind them with this from a loose silage pit, in the same way that the sort of self-propelled Silo King mixers do. It is really quite kind of universal. One thing I have seen, though, again in screenshots, not in practice, is that when you load snow into a trailer, the snow inside the trailer is black. There doesn't seem to be a colour to it. It's almost like that colour file hasn't unloaded properly, or hasn't loaded properly, as I should say. So it's not without its own little quirks and its own little issues. And as I say, more often than not, I don't tend to get the snow blowing out the pipe. Like, it happens, but I don't see the animation of it. So this is actually sort of a fairly new kind of experience for me, is actually seeing this snow, being blown through the pipe. Normally I don't tend to see that. It does seem to be a little bit temperamental. I'm not quite sure why it does do that. But this is a lot of fun, just kind of driving around, clearing the roads. I suppose, really, we should put our beacons on, shouldn't we, if we're on snow blowing duty. And we need to be careful not to make the pathway too inaccessible for pedestrians. So let's just change the angle a little bit. There we go. Let's slow it down a bit as well. And again, another big bounce. We're going to clear the road up to the... just blocking in anyone who's parked in that car park there. We're going to clear the road up to the BGA so that we can move our telehandler through without any real issues whatsoever. It's getting a little bit of snow on the path here. I suppose in situations like this you would actually need a trailer to make sure that you're not dumping it on the sidewalk or in people's people's living rooms. But we won't really need to do this unless the snow gets quite deep. As I say, this is just a single layer of snow, so normally I wouldn't bother. It won't really affect our sort of movement on the road, or the way our tractors handle or perform, because it's just that single thin layer. But if this was a much deeper snowfall, and we do have snow forecast for tomorrow as well, then maybe, just maybe, we'll actually really need to get out and start clearing areas like this. Normally, if it's just a single layer like this, I would just let it melt, because as I say, it does not affect our performance, when it comes to driving around at all. You can see we are clearing the road quite nicely here. We're going to turn into the BGA. We're going to clear out part of the BGA. And I say it's just a shame that those road tiles do make this a little unpredictable at times. It bounces around an awful lot. Oops, we're still indicating, aren't we? Right, so we're going to need to lift to get over that little hump there, and you can see, as I say, look, no collisions on the side pipe there, and I think that's, while perhaps maybe a touch unrealistic, I think it's definitely something that kind of needed to happen just to make it usable. And there we go, there is our stack of bales ready and waiting to be put through and processed. So now that we have a little bit of deeper snow, you can see how this thing kind of struggles a little bit when it gets a bit thicker. You have to either slow down and let it clear a section, or you have to just really slow right down. When it gets really, really deep, you're probably going to want to slow down to just a few miles an hour rather than sort of taking it in double digits. So let's spin this around. There we go. See, it's bouncing there over the top. It's not able to clear it all quickly enough. So in situations like that, you do just need to slow it down just a touch. If we run at, say, 5 or 6 miles an hour, even then, we're not unloading properly, that's why. This thing does have a tendency to kind of stop unloading as well, which is a little frustrating at times. There you can see we're moving at a slower speed and we're managing to clear all that snow a lot more effectively. Just put a bit of a bump in just there. Let's move the pipe and change the angle so we can clear this entranceway a bit. There we go. And we'll just clear the area in front of the bales as well. Just got to be careful I don't knock the bales and send them flying. And you may remember that I bought a set of CSZ forks and left them at the store. Now I've actually sold those forks and left a different set waiting for us at the store. Instead, we're going to be using some auto-load forks because I find that they are absolutely fantastic to use. I'd heard that they, obviously I'd seen the update for the CSZ pack that was supposedly bringing auto-load forks, but I'd never really played about with them myself until a couple of days ago, and I had a quick trial on them, and they are brilliant. They really do make loading, you know, just 1 or 2 bales, or even 3 bales at a time, really, really easy and straightforward, and I'm a big fan of them, so we're going to be using a set of those on this map as well. Alright, let's clear the return part of the route. Let's try and get this on the edge of the road rather than on the pavement. There we go. It's a little bit better, I think. And of course, if you're into sort of storytelling when you do your farms, if you like to sort of role play a little bit, then you could quite comfortably sort of come up with a storyline where, you know, to give you something to do in winter, you know, the council or the local council wants you to, you know, blow the snow off the roads, make sure that they're always kept clear, and you could maybe, you know, reward yourself with a little bit of mod money at the end of the day as a payment for that. You know, there's all sorts of things you could do. And there are plenty of storage areas dotted around the city, or, you know, dotted around the towns and the villages on this map as well. So there's absolutely nothing to stop you from leaving, say, a trailer and a snowblower, maybe even a tractor, sort of hidden away somewhere in each village, and you could use those only as sort of contracted equipment. So we don't need to go that way. We need to go this way, don't we? We've actually got some coming up in just a moment as we sort of head our way back to the farm. Obviously you have these little sort of housed areas here. That's not what I was talking about, but just around the corner we do have a little barn tucked away just around here. Just cut that corner slightly. Just in there, you've got a nice little shed just in there, look. So you could get, say, you know, a brand that you don't normally use. You could leave a small tractor in there with a snowblower. You could even, you know, as I say, paint the snowblower to match. I can't get it to unload now. There we go. It's kind of a little bit hit and miss in some places, I think, again, because it's a single layer of snow. Might even possibly be the angle of the pipe. Oops, it's buried someone's car in a bit of snow. But yeah, you could quite happily just have council provided equipment waiting for you, and then you just, you know, take on the job and then return the equipment back to that shed and leave it there until it's next needed. You know, there's all sorts of kind of things you could do just to keep yourself busy and occupied over winter. Or of course, if you're not really that interested in messing around in the snow, you can just skip the day. You can just turn time up to 120 and then skip the night when it comes, and as long as you've got all the things that you want to get done, you know, there's no reason why you should have to then sort of stick around and just suffer in the snow if you don't like the snow. There are, of course, you could even go with a geo that doesn't, you know, encourage snow. So something like the Midwest geo, or even the Paraguay geo, where it's a much warmer climate and snow is much less likely. We're still playing here on the standard default seasons geo. So we're kind of, whatever it gives us is whatever it gives us. It's kind of the, you know, the basic sort of UK/European kind of geo. There is a brand new one that's just come out, actually. There's the is it North or Central Italy? I think it's North Italy geo that's just come out, that gives you quite warm summers and then quite cold winters. So you can get really good choices with crops for the summer and really good sort of temperatures, but it does kind of encourage snow to fall in the winter months as well. So it's kind of a trade-off. I actually am looking forward to giving that one a try, and I may possibly incorporate it into this map for year 2. Haven't decided yet. Let me know if you're interested in us making that switch. I may also possibly use this on Fent Farm You know, the vote hasn't quite closed yet, but it is very, very heavily in favour of ditching Deutz Farm and replacing it with Fendt Farm. So it looks as though that's going to go ahead, and I may decide to use the North Italy Geo on that one. It is the Netherlands, and the Netherlands does seem to have three kind of distinct climates, one of which is almost tropical. So that does open up the option of potentially doing the Paraguay Geo there, and maybe, just maybe, going with that one. I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it. I'll do a little bit more research into the weather patterns, and see what I think is going to be the most appropriate geo to choose from. But we're back at the farm. We're just about done blowing snow. We've got this little lip here again that we're kind of stuck on. It's frustrating, those. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about them. We'll just clear a path down here, and then we'll jump into our telehandler. We'll head over to the store to pick up those new forks. Then we'll head over to the BGA. We'll sell those bales and see just how much we can make from them. I'm hoping for around about 20 grand. That would be quite a nice little bonus payout there. So there we go. We've had a little bit of fun with the snowblower. Let's pipe that back in, and we'll bend the pipe around as well. There we go. Right. Time to go grab the telehandler. One of the things I absolutely love about Seasons is how yet again our entire landscape has changed, and you can see the snow is starting to thaw just a little bit. The grass is peeking through the top of the snow, but I just love the way that just, you know, adding a little bit of snow to the map completely transforms it yet again. I mean, obviously we've seen, you know, very little vegetation and a lot of brown fields at this time of year because it's, you know, the ground is too cold for us to work, and it's too cold for the AI farmers to work as well. So it's all just kind of in a a holding pattern, waiting for spring, when we start to get some real activity going on the fields. And then you start to see the trees come back to life and the bushes come back to life in sort of mid-spring, early spring. And towards the end of the season, moving into summer, we've got nice luscious shades of green starting to appear. Then in summer, it's at its absolutely deepest greens everywhere, and the sky looks fantastic. The sun shines with a really warm glow. And then we move into autumn, we get that wonderful transformation with the trees going to oranges and reds and browns, and really sort of seeing that kind of decay in the leaves a little bit. And obviously you have all your fields by this point are pretty much grown, and you've got just yellow fields everywhere. It's great to see. And then as we move into winter, you know, everything starts to die down again, and then when you get snow, especially when it's during the day and you see the snow through the trees just shining across and highlighting certain parts of fields. I mean, just look at it. It looks fantastic. It looks so different to how it did yesterday, when we just had a little bit of sunshine and that was it. How awesome is this transformation? All that snow just all over the fields and banked up in places. Yeah, when we get some really deep snow, this map is going to look amazing. And it looked great at night as well. I really do like the ever so subtle changes and differences between driving around a snow-filled map during the day and during the night. Obviously, you don't see as much of the sort of the white reflection from the light because there's no sunshine, but when you get your headlights on it, it really does stand out, and it looks so cold at night. It really does. It's fantastic, and I absolutely love that Seasons gives us all of these changeable landscapes like this. It really does make a huge difference, and I don't think I could actually go back to normal farming. If Farming Sim 19 doesn't have Seasons in, you know, as standard, I'm going to be really disappointed, I think, because I love this version of farming so much. I don't know if I could go back to traditional farming, or at least not on Farming Sim 17 anyway. We'll see what 19 has to offer, but yeah, this is just a truly magical sort of experience, and I'm so glad that we were actually able to get this on consoles. We've actually been fortunate or unfortunate, depending on your point of view, to have a little bit of snow here in the UK over the last day or two as well. And outside, my house where I live sort of opposite a university, and there's a great big grass field where games of rugby and American football are played by the students and sort of local teams as well. And watching the snow fall, it hasn't fallen here where I am that hard, and when it has, and it has kind of dusted and covered the fields, it's stopped, and then the sun has come out, and within an hour the snow is all melted off those fields and they're back to green again. And then it started snowing again, and they went white again, and then green again and white again, and the field changed colour in the last couple of days more times than I can count. It was just really sort of quite cool to watch it, and then also to watch the changing of the light, the way the the sky light changed. Oh, this bale is not supported. Don't tell me I bought round bale spikes and not square bale. I think I might have done. Yeah, this is the one I bought, and then for round bales. Whoops. Oh dear. Okay, that's the one I wanted there. Yeah, that's a bit foolish. Okay, so I'm going to head back to the store and swap out these spikes for ones that actually work, and I'll be back here in just a second. Okay, so we're back for our second attempt. Now, these should work. Now, these are actually described as round bale spikes, but they do state... Oh, what is going on? They say square bales in the description. Oh, this is infuriating. Look, it says bale fork round bales, but it also says allows transporting square and round bales. I don't know. This is the one we had, and they don't work. This is the one we've now bought, and these don't work. I guess I know that these will work, but I don't really want to buy those ones if I can help it. Oh, sorry, it's these ones that work. Yeah, you know what? Let's just... Yeah, it says normal and round bales. These are 3 bale ones. I was hoping for one with 2 bales, just because they're going to be easier around the actual yard itself. So, you see, we've tried that one. It doesn't work. We've tried that one. That doesn't work either. I guess this is going to be the next one that we try. I don't really, as I say, want to go into the 3 bales if I can get away with it. It's frustrating. There are so many different variants of the CSZ pack, tools, that sometimes finding the right one is a little bit trickier. I guess we go with this one. And I don't quite have enough, do I? Oh no, just have enough. Right. That's a €5. Obviously, we'll get some money back from selling these forks, but we will find the right fork. Oh, look. Snow is coming. We were supposed to have rain, and it's changed. It's snow. And it's getting a little bit foggier, I think, in places. I don't think... Yeah, it looks like we're about to get some snowfall. Awesome. Was not expecting snow today at all. The forecast is for snow tomorrow, and we were supposed to get rain today. But yeah, it looks as though we're about to experience some snowfall while we're out and about. This could be interesting. Right, let's go get these correct bale forks, hopefully, and let's try this bale stuff again. And there we go. You can see it has just started snowing. Very strange. I actually had a moment ago where it started and then stopped after about a second, and then a couple of seconds later started again. I thought, was that it? Like a 1 second flurry of snow, but it has come back. I wonder how long it's going to snow for, and how heavy that snow is going to be. We have got sunshine forecast after this, so maybe we're only going to get a light dusting of snow. It'll put 1 layer back on the roads, but it will potentially put a 2nd layer on the fields if it falls long enough and hard enough. That could be quite interesting. Anyway, let's try these forks and hope that these ones actually work. I can't believe how many sets of CSZ forks I'm going through. Luckily, with seasons, you know, we do get that window where we get to use the equipment for, I think, about 30 minutes, and then we get our full money back if we take it back to sell. Please work. No! What is going on? What is going on with this? This is so frustrating. I'm just driving back and forth. I know that these ones work because I used these ones the other day. I guess we're going to have to go with the 3-bale stack. I just don't get it. I really don't. I don't know why these ones aren't working. I'm going to try this set and hope that those are going to work. I mean, I've used those ones as well, and I know that they worked. I don't understand why these spikes are not working. I really don't. Success! We actually finally have bales on the end of our spikes. I had to go to the 3-bale stack, and I wanted to use the 2-bale stacks. That's frustrating that all of the 2-bale ones I tried didn't work, but the thing I do like about this is not only does it automatically pick them up, but I can tilt like this, and I can shake and I can jiggle and nothing happens. They stay firmly attached. This is just fantastic. So I can literally lower them right in there and then just boom, unload and drop them straight in there. That is awesome. I love that. That's so cool. And it's going to make loading trailers, if you want to do manual loading on trailers, easier as well. So let's just get into loading position. There we go. And the bales lose their collisions, as you can see, so you can actually drop them into the floor while they're on the forks. Once you unload them, that's when they regain their full collisions. And instead you just get the collision of the fork itself. So I can do this. I can push them right through like that. You don't have to worry about bumping into things too much. But how cool is that? Excuse me. Being able to literally lower them all the way in without the fear of them sliding or slipping off the forks right into the mouth of the pit. I don't know, maybe 3 will work. I mean, I'd wanted 2 because I thought it would make things a little bit easier when we use these back at the main yard, but maybe we can get away with just using a 3 stack and maybe just make our stacks a little bit smaller. I don't know, we'll see. It would certainly help, actually, I suppose, given that the trailer works in stacks of 3. I suppose this would be a really good tool in combination with an auto-load trailer as well. So let's continue sort of loading up bales and selling them off, see how much money we can actually get now that we finally finally have a set of forks that actually work with our bales. There we go. We're actually getting a lot of money for these bales as well, just 979, and for the slightly less than 4,000 litre bales, 977. That's more than we were getting earlier in the year, in the summer, when we were selling off our silage bales. We were getting around 920 something on those bales, both the 4,000 and the 4,500 litre bales. So it looks as though winter is actually a really good time to sell silage. Or maybe that's just based on the current silage price. Let's see. Do we have a silage price? 400 and... No, that's wood chips. 435. That's not a bad little price, I suppose. It looks a little bit low. I have a feeling it should be a little bit higher than that. I don't know. But yeah, for whatever reason, the price of the bales does fluctuate. Did I just drop one off the back? No, it was just the back of the mixer that I saw. Yeah, the price of the bales does seem to fluctuate. I'm so used to completely static prices for silage bales, and these ones are changing, and I don't know if that's because they are just on their own separate economy, or if it's because they're based on the price of silage as a loose commodity. We'll have to pay attention to that next time we do some silage bales and we'll see what the sort of market price for loose silage is, and see if that is where we can draw that comparison. Up to 18 and a quarter. We've got 5 more bales. That snow is still falling, but it's not settling yet. It hasn't fallen long enough yet for that to settle. I do love that. It's just such a nice little thing to be able to do. And I say, it should make bale work around the yard back at the farm a little bit easier as well, especially up in those tight areas. We can actually get them stacked really neatly now, rather than kind of struggling with that quite big and unwieldy sort of Kotek claw. And there we go, 23,118. So we've kind of paid for the claw, plus we've also made a nice little bit of cash on the side as well. In fact, that's also paid for our snowblower and our toolbox, and still left us with a little bit of extra cash on top of that. Let's throw that into the bank. So we'll pay 15 grand off. Actually, no, we'll pay off 20. We've got 3,000 in stock there. Now, I did say that I hadn't spent the money, it hadn't burnt a hole in my pocket. Well, it nearly did. And the field I was looking at was... Oh, there we go. The weather's just changed to rain. There is the rain that we were expecting. So I guess we're going to start to see the snow melting once this rain continues. And then definitely when the sun comes out, the snow's going to melt. Yeah, this is the field that I've been looking at here. Field number 27. Ooh, look, we've got a couple of withered fields. The farmer wasn't quick enough to get his crop in. And so field 79 and field 33, whatever was planted on those, let's have a look. Potatoes on both fields. Yeah, both of those potato crops have withered and died. Ooh. It's not a job that we would have taken on. I hate working with potatoes. Field 27 is a field that I'm looking at potentially adding to our sort of roster of fields. And this field is around 200,000. So I think it's just fractionally over 200,000 to buy. So the money that we made for those wood chips would pay for that field entirely. That's something to possibly consider over the remainder of winter and into the early days of spring. I guess I'll see where we sit in terms of crop fields. I do, as I say, like the thought of adding in maybe an extra grass field, or maybe just, you know, planting an extra field for chaffing. The field that we have up here, fields 2 and 6 that we're actually driving along the top of right now, we're going to plant corn on that field again this year, but we're going to plant it and chaff it because we're really close to the BGA, as you've just seen. We've just left it, and that would be the perfect sort of location for us to actually do some silage, you know, at the BGA for selling purposes. I would like to maybe add another farm, another field around this area if I could as well, because we do just have that one. Maybe, I think fields 5 and 4 are going to be a little bit too expensive. Nope, that's the wrong way. And I think, ooh, causing a crash now. I think field 13 is probably going to be a little bit too expensive as well. And then you look at field 11, that's definitely going to be a bit too pricey. But 27 might be a decent little purchase. We could perhaps turn it into a meadow. We could do something with it as a crop. You know, there's some options, and we don't even have to buy that at all. Remember, 35 and 36 is going to be one single field. 37 and 38 is going to become a separate field. And then we've got 44, 45 and 46 joined into a field already. It would be nice to maybe increase our holdings up there a little bit more. I'll have a think about it. And if you have any feedback on that, you know, do let me know in the comments as always. So, I'll see you back at the farm. One other thing I want to kind of show you before this snow does start melting and disappearing is this area over here. So obviously we need to restart our Juno. I forgot to do that this morning. You can see we've got some bales stacked up in the corner there, and the sheep aren't going to be ready for another bale just yet. Let's get this lined up properly. Now the Juno will actually eat snow, as you can see. It only eats enough until it fills up, and then, you know, it can't eat anymore. But it will, you know, continue to work as you would normally expect as well. So if I get this sort of positioned right, you know, it's sort of angled about right there. You can see that dotted line is kind of keeping the same kind of look all the way along here. Let's get this positioned about halfway. You can see the snow is gone because there's grass for it to pick up and then throw into the food trough. So it will always keep your food area nice and clear. You don't have to worry about snow getting into this area, but obviously there is a snow mask around this bit as well. Now our bales in here, if we pull this out, are protected, as you can see. I mean, yes, they're wrapped as well, but we have got this kind of area here where there's no snow that falls inside this part of the building. So if you wanted to store a few sort of bales in this area, then you could do. There's nothing to stop you from you know, keeping a few bales like I've done here, so that you've always got feed ready to hand, and then obviously you can keep the bulk of them in the barn just over there. So we're going to try and quickly just tidy up our little stack over here. Let's get some working lights on so it's a bit brighter. There we go. Let's try and get this bit more across if I can. Lower them down to where I think they need to be. Slightly off center there. Let's give them a little tweak. And this is why I thought a two-step or a two-stack fork would be a little bit better. And then we'll unload there like so. There we go, we've got a much neater little stack of 4. And it's really going to be quite easy for us to come in and just grab a bale from there and drop it straight in the food trough as and when we need to. So that's a nice little extra bit that we have just there. And then, of course, the main issue that we had with our Kotek claws was that they're just a pain to try and get in and out of here. You know, we have to really stretch them all the way out forward. This, it's narrower and it's a lot shorter. There's no such issues whatsoever. So it doesn't stick out as much at the front, and because they're auto-load bales, we don't have to worry about, you know, if we turn a corner and catching a stack or catching one of these poles and knocking the bales either, you know, in a stack over or knocking them off the fork, or both. You know, the fact that they won't have collisions until we are ready to unload them does mean that moving around up here with bales is going to be a much easier, and I'm all in favour of that. We are definitely going to need to increase our bale stockpile if we're going to look to get into cows in the summer. So next year we will be doing a lot more baling, you know, getting a nice good supply of hay. We'll put some grass into the silo. We'll even increase our straw selection just a little bit as well. So it does mean that the Kotek is only really going to be used to transport bales. Well, again, actually, we probably don't even need the Koteks anymore, because we can just drop the bales off here and then load them up and then carry them through that way. I'm going to keep hold of them just in case, but obviously this year we loaded them up from the ground all the way up using the telescopic feature of the telehandler. Next year I think I might just try driving them straight down the tunnel on these forks and see how we get on with that. That could definitely be something that we do instead. So what can we do to kind of, you know, finish the day off? Well, we can do some vehicle maintenance. Now, we don't need to maintain our tools, so we don't have to worry about doing the baler or the seeders or, you know, the cultivator or anything like that, which I'm a little disappointed about, if I'm honest. You know, like machinery with big, expensive moving pieces, I would have expected us to have to do, you know, some maintenance on some of those big bits, like these seeders. You would have thought that they would have needed to have some maintenance done, but they don't. So instead we just need to do maintenance on our vehicles, our tractors and our combine essentially, and our wheel loader as well to a degree. Now we've got quite a few hours on the T6, and if we leave it, you know, it'll eventually hit the time limit. If we pull the help menu up, where is the help window? There it is. You can see we are currently at 15.1 engine hours, or 8 days until maintenance is required. So if we were to leave this we've got plenty of hours left on its clock before it needs to be maintained. But if we were to sort of, wait until it just broke down, it would start breaking down. It wouldn't run so smoothly. The brakes would fail from time to time. It would just keep cutting out on us. It's kind of a cool little feature. I'm going to deliberately leave it on my telehandler and just let the time limit hit on that. But for our tractors, it's kind of a lot more pressing. We do need to make sure that these are properly maintained. I need to put this weight away as well. Let's try not to drop it on the chicken. Just see a little pile of feathers pop up when we drop that thing down. So all we're going to do is we're just going to drive each of our tractors and also our combine in here to the maintenance bay, and we're going to do some maintenance. Now it doesn't matter whether we use the toolbox or whether we use this, the price is always the same. So we literally just go up and we just go repair, and the more maintenance that needs to be done in terms of the number of hours you've used the equipment for, the more expensive the maintenance will become. And if you leave it until the equipment starts to fail and break down, it then starts to become very expensive indeed. So the maintenance itself is nice and cheap. We just need to be careful we don't press X again and accidentally sell. It is a possibility. I'm sure somebody out there has accidentally done it, as they've pressed X one too many times and sold a tractor that they were trying to repair. It's not something I want to find myself in, that kind of situation. I think it could be a little problematic. And actually, we don't need those bale spikes there anymore, do we? Well, they might be configured actually. I think they're configured for the tractor rather than for a telehandler. So we'll leave those there for now. But we might end up getting rid of those spikes as well. Let's drop off. There we go. So this tractor is done. Maintenance is done for the year. Nice and painless, nice and simple and straightforward, but it is something that you do need to remember to get done. Otherwise it is going to cause you some issues further down the line. Let's do our T7 next. So again, just park it in our little vehicle bay over here. I'm just going to turn this TV off. I don't know why it's still on. Can I do it? No, I'm too close to the tractor. I'll have to clear the bay first. Maintenance for this. We've used this a lot. So €762. This one's taken a bit more of a pounding than any of our other equipment. So there we go. Maintenance done on the T7. It's a nice little mechanic, this. The need to do maintenance. I think it also, again, allows for really good role-playing. What you could do is, if you want to do a farm with seasons, and you want to do old equipment to start with, and you want to start gradually upgrading your equipment to new equipment, you could just not do any maintenance on the old stuff, so that it's constantly breaking down, and then it kind of plays into the storyline of needing to be upgraded to newer, more reliable equipment. Again, it just adds another little role-playing element for you. Seasons does so much other than just change the weather. It really does. Now this should be negligible. €42. There we go. I say this is a brand new piece of equipment. We've only used it for, well, less than 2 hours, and we've only had it for a couple of days, so it was always going to cost us hardly anything at all. But we'll reset it so it's at the same kind of factor as our other tractors. It'd just be silly not to, I think. There we go. The wheel loader, again, we will wait until we actually need to use the wheel loader, because it's not one of those vehicles we're going to use that much. Plus, it's all the way down at the... that's something we could perhaps look at. We could perhaps look at getting a pickup, so we could throw the toolbox in the back of that, and then we could head off and maintain things like our skid steer and our wheel loader. I like that thought. Let's do the combine as well. But yeah, as I said, the wheel loader isn't something that is going to get used that much, so the maintenance requirements are going to be triggered by time limit rather than usage. This year it might be a little bit different. Obviously we've added an extra tractor to again try and split the workload a little bit, but we're going to have more fields to work, so it's more work for each of our tractors that's going to be needed for. And the T5 obviously did all of our spraying last year. and then we use the T6 for mowing. This time around, the T6 is going to do the spraying and the mowing, so that's going to be working a lot harder this year as well, and on more fields. So again, we'll repair the combine. €945 for the combine. It's a little bit more pricey. Not too many hours, but it's a big, expensive piece of equipment. So it's going to take a little bit more tinkering to fix it and maintain it. Alright, there we go. That is our maintenance done, and we're kind of pretty much out of jobs, I think. Let's quickly just take a quick look at the wood chip sale price right now. What I might do just to pass the time until tomorrow is perhaps chip a few more logs and put them into storage in case we get another really good price. I don't know, there's not that many logs left. I don't really want to go around cutting down even more just yet, but we might need to, just for something to do. Let's take a look at the store. So the wood chip price is $4.86 and still climbing. If we look at the predicted prices, you can see wood chips, it's now, because obviously yesterday price-wise was a little bit of a disappointment on what we were expecting. You can see that it is predicting a price a little bit higher than what it is right now. It is still climbing, so it will hit a higher price later, but of course this is a variable price, and if we do start selling stuff, that price will immediately start to drop again, and then it drops off quite a bit tomorrow and day 6 as well. So I think we've kind of hit our peak and past the point of no return now with wood chips, so we'll just be selling lumber instead. There's not really much else for us to do today. As I say, winter is kind of one of those months that is a little bit or one of those seasons where you don't generally tend to have a lot to do. So I'm going to go and put the kettle on, put my feet up, have a cup of tea, and sit back and watch a bit of TV, I think. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back tomorrow with potentially a lot of snow here on Seasons in the Valley very soon.